So now I have Chris joining me from Databricks. Chris, thank you very much for joining me and having a chat. So I wanted to start off by kind of finding out about how companies are obviously speeding up the deployment of when we're talking about data and analytics. So from that perspective, what kind of risks and benefits should organizations be wary of when they start on that journey?
Well, I think from a risk standpoint, one of the things that we're seeing obviously is organizations are getting hold of a lot more data, right? Mm-hmm. Internally generated data from their customers that are streaming in. They're moving more towards real-time, event-driven sort of analytics. Yeah. And the risks associated with that, of course, are traditional systems in many large enterprises they sort of bifurcate or segment the data according to the use case. So you would see a Hadoop-based platform for some of the machine learning work. You might see a SaaS platform for some of the data science work, and an enterprise data warehouse for a lot of the BI and SQL reporting. Yeah. And so what we're seeing is, one, risks for organizations that have multiple copies of the same data. The governance components of that are really tough. Yeah. The second thing is we're oftentimes not getting all of the personas with all the different skill sets working on the same view of the data. So if an organization really wants to accelerate these analytics, finding, we sort of describe it as a team sport, this idea that you would get people with different backgrounds, different personas within an organization, your data analysts, your data scientists, your machine learning experts, your data engineers, get them all working against the same copy of the data, the same view of the data, and curate that data once and make it more consumable for all these use cases.
Yeah, it's the best approach to kind of have that central hub that you can kind of focus on and build from that perspective. And I'm curious, if we expand further on that, how are you kind of seeing the space from an architecture perspective, and how people are really adopting this?
Yeah, so you mentioned the central hub. We like to think of the Databricks platform and an architecture that we have coined, which is called the Lakehouse. So the notion is, take the best components of an enterprise data warehouse, the things that organizations, especially C-level executives, have become accustomed to, the idea that you can govern the data very well, you can manage it tightly, it's very secure, and you can leverage that data primarily through SQL-based interface, right, with an enterprise data warehouse. Yeah. We're seeing a lot of the modern analytics really move more towards machine learning, artificial intelligence, which enterprise data warehouses just simply don't lend themselves to. No. So what we've done is we've taken the best pieces of an enterprise data warehouse, we've taken the best pieces of a data lake, which gives you access to more of your data. It's lower cost to store it in these low-cost object stores, but we've added in the software service layer using the Databricks platform to create something that we call the Lakehouse. So it's really the combination of the two platforms, but in one platform with one copy of the data and one software service that is managing the data lifecycle and the data curation, the data hygiene. So an organization can take data assets that are both structured, where they want to query it using SQL, add it into the Databricks Lakehouse platform. They can take data that's unstructured, and increasingly we're seeing this with video, with images, where you might want to, say, on an assembly line, look at the parts that are being used to assemble a product and do defect analysis and things like that. Yes. So the Lakehouse concept here is, well, it's in reality now because we've deployed it. We've got thousands of customers using it, but the idea really here is, as it matures and becomes more performant against all the workloads, you don't need to have separate systems to store multiple copies of your data.
Yeah, so important, especially as organizations are growing and they're building the data as it kind of comes in. And I love the concept of a data lakehouse. We're going to have a beautiful kind of holiday home at some point. Yes, we got the lakehouse, it's perfect. So in terms of what we've been speaking about today, have you got any kind of use cases that kind of tie all this together, some real world examples that people might be interested in?
Yeah, I mean, well, the great thing about Databricks is it's used across nearly every vertical, right? And we've got over 5,000 customers. Financial services is one of our biggest, right? Out of those 5,000, we've got roughly 600 customers in that space. So banks are using it to do customer 360 analysis, really figure out what is the next best financial product for a customer. Yeah. And that takes all the data associated with that customer, right? Clickstream data, how they're using the web and mobile properties of the bank. It looks at their transaction history. It looks at their financial status in terms of their income levels and things like that. And you can monitor things like if they get a pay raise, and that reflects in the direct deposit account, can you then signal to the credit line increase algorithm to increase their credit limit on their credit card, for example. And so We're seeing in financial services a lot of adoption of the platform, a lot of adoption of the Lakehouse concept, but then it spans all the different verticals. We see it quite a bit in the retail space with understanding like how customers are purchasing, especially in light of the pandemic, where people couldn't go shop in person. We need to be able to do better recommendation engines based on their online activity, and of course that's just a lot of data and using Databricks for that.
Yeah, exactly. Adapt as the times change, and it's a great example that you've just given there. So Chris, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.